ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकय चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरुं वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगण रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगणललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च नम ॐ विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिन्निति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देश तारिणे। हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगतपते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमस्तुते। तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यस्य कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। Hare Krishna. So, welcome to the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu Southern Division, fourth wave. We have been discussing the Vyabhicari Bhavs. And within the Vyabhicari Bhav, there are the 33 Vyabhicari Bhavs. And up till now, we have been looking into some of these Vyabhicari Bhavs. Rup Goswami is defining them, then giving scriptural examples. So in yesterday's class, we were on this Vyabhichari Bhav. Let me open up that. We have finished at least, I think, 13 or 14 Vyabhichari Bhavs. Yes, Unmada we saw. Because of extreme bliss, Proudananda, separation, Viraha, insanity, Unmada. And what happens? Attahasa, all that happens. Unmada we saw. Then Apasmara, Apasmara also we saw. Yeah, 14 we have completed. Apasmara. And then Moha. Moha also we saw because of Harshat. And then because of separation, Vishleshad. And then Bhayad, Moha because of fear. And Vishadat, Moha because of Vishad. And then there was some technical difference between Moha and, sorry, in Moha, we lose awareness of objects and our own bodies, but awareness of Krishna remains. So yesterday we elaborated quite a lot on that. So that's where we ended our discussion yesterday. And today we are going to discuss from 15th Vyabhichari Bhav. Mriti. This is a very interesting Vyabhichari Bhav. Mriti is verse 99. Yeah, Mriti. Mriti is generally the Vyabhicari vow connected to the consciousness just before death. Just before death. So let us see what first Rup Goswami has to say, and then further he'll explain about this more in detail. That time we'll get a clear understanding. So first we will go through Mriti, and then if you have any questions, we'll take it up. अतः मृति विषाद व्याधि संत्रास संप्राहार क्लमादिभिः प्राण त्यागो मृतिस्तस्याम् अव्यक्ताक्षर भासनम विवर्ण्य गात्रता श्वास मांद्यहिकादय क्रिया. So here, giving up life, prana tyago, because of why? Grief, vishada. We all have experience when one is very grief stricken or put in extreme misery, he sometimes gives up life. So there is a particular emotion which is going on internally, and that emotion is consuming him. And because of that, pranatyaga, this giving up of life, it is because of vishada. Vyadi, sickness. We all have experienced that when we are sick, uh, especially when we are sick for many, many years, going through a terminal disease, we feel like giving up our life. you know, so that is because of Vyadi. And it is seen also many times people give up their life because they cannot tolerate the Vyadi. Fear, Tansantrasna. Many of the deaths which happened during the COVID were not exactly the deaths because of lack of oxygen, or it was basically because of the fear. Oh, I've got COVID. And that fear itself consumed them. So, Santrashna, beating, Samprahar, you can give up your life because of beating. Exhaustion, you know, Klamadibi is called Mriti. So, these are the six things: giving up life because of Vishada, Vyadi, Santrasna, Samprahara, and Klamadibi. This is called Mriti. In this state, Tasyam, unclear speaking, Avyaktakshara, Bhashanam, change of bodily color, Vivarna, Gatrata, feeble breathing, Shwasamandya, and hiccups occur, Hikadaya Kriya. So, especially sometimes some people, usually heart attack is related to a Vata dosha. It's not, blockages in the arteries, that might be there, but still the heart functions. But the vata, when the vata gets blocked, vata usually gets blocked in the early morning times. That's why you see many of the heart case, incidents happen early in the morning. And there are hiccups, because of the air disturbances in the body. So all these symptoms happen, unclear speaking and all. Okay, yatha. The pious persons of Mathurayam Sukritina, with weak breathing, Anullasa Swasa, eyes glancing sideways and upwards, Muhur Saralottanita Drisho, taking on a unique complexion on their bodies, Vivarnavata Kaye Kim Api Nava Vaivarnyam Abhita, and hiccuping loudly, a Lagu Hikka Laharibi, give up their lives, pranam jahati, while uttering Krishna's name unclearly. Harer nama vaktit kritim. So this is again, the Mathura Vasis were experiencing this weak breathing, eyes glancing upwards, and their complexion stained. They were hiccuping. They gave up their lives, uttering Krishna's names unclearly. Now, in which context this and where this verse is coming, we don't have much idea. Let us see what Prabhupada is to say. In this connection, there is a statement about persons who died at Mathura. About persons who died at Mathura. I don't know in which context. These are symptoms of prior manifestations of that. I mentioned this point that this is prior manifestations of death. Then another example. The sun in the form of Krishna drank up Nipita, the deep darkness of life, prana gandandakaraha of the midnight in the form of Putana, Putana Kala Ratri. Her eyes lit up for the moment beyond her control. Shana Vighatita Tamya Drishti, and then died out like a glowing of fireflies in the night. Khadot Dipti. That midnight suddenly disappeared. Kashyam Agamat Akasmat, with a loud hooting, a lagu hutkara chakra of owls in the form of her death groans. Viramed Kantodghosha. So this is again very poetic way of explaining the death of Putana, how it happened, and there was loud hooting of the owls, her death groans, all that, Again, this is not, from where the source is not given. Hutkara means making a hooting sound. Okay, now Rup Goswami in this Karika is further explaining uh, uh, an explanation he's giving about this Anubhava Mriti. Prayo atra maranat purva chitta vrittir mritir mata. The state of consciousness, chitta vritti, just prior to death, prayo atra maranat purva, is generally called mriti mata. Mriti, it is called as mriti. However, some say that kenachit uchate, mriti should be considered only an external similarity to death anubhava. Mriti atra anubhava syaditi. So some say that mriti should be considered an external similarity to death. It is not exactly death, but it is external similarity to death. Because this is the Anubhava, because the Brajbasis are eternal associates and they are experiencing these Anubhavas. And, that doesn't happen towards them. So that's why some say like this. It has been described in the enemies of Krishna, Shatro Maranam Uchate, though it is not the Vyabhicari Bhav called Briti, just in order to show his power. Kintu Nayaka Virya Artham. So it has been described also in the enemies of Krishna, but we know that these are abhas, anubhavas. And they are shown in the enemies of Krishna to show Krishna's powers, that Krishna has such powers that it can cause these anubhavas even in his enemies. That's the point. Okay. Three statements are made concerning Vritti. Three statements are there. First one, the author is not satisfied with the first conclusion since there is lack of bhava at the stage of giving life. Because what is Vritti? The state of consciousness, Chitta Vritti, just prior to death, is called Vritti. But if you take this definition, anyone in the material world who is dying, he is not experiencing any anubhavas. So there is a lack of bhava at the stage of giving life. So there is a lack of bhava. So that's why it's not satisfied. The author is not satisfied. The second statement means that giving up life, Mriti, should only be an external appearance of death-like symptoms. So this is what is there in the Krishna Lila pastimes, what the gopis experience or Yashoda is experiencing and all. So there is external death-like symptoms. That's it. There's only external death-like symptoms. So that's what uh, Jeev Goswami is clarifying. This is stated by some, meaning the author. So the author subscribes to the second, Mritir Atra Anubhava Syad iti Kechan Uchate. So he subscribes to this second explanation or definition. Not satisfied at the description of Briti given in describing Putana in verse 101, he explains that this is not the same as Briti Vyabhichari Bhav, which appears in devotees. So, because the example given in verse 101 is about Putana, experiencing these anubhavas, the groaning, hooting it is called, no? Hooting of all. Something like that. I don't know. So, of course, Putana is not a devotee who possesses bhava. So, is not the same, as a Mriti Vyabhicari Bhav, which appears in devotees. So it's quite different. That's the point. Okay, I hope the explanation about the Mriti Vyabhicari Bhav is clear. Any questions you have on this? Yes, Shubha Ikshana Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Prabhu,
Yeah.
just to understand this verse, 102 is a Karika verse, which is the explanatory verse.
Yeah, it's an explanatory verse of the Mriti and the first two examples given. It's a
Yes,
Karika verse, yes, you can say.
yes, Prabhu. No,
Usually
you said
Karika
that.
verses, yeah, you can see in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Rup Goswami defines Shuddha Bhakti. It's a definition. And then he gives scriptural references, you know, and he gives scriptural references. And after giving scriptural references, then if there is those are verses quoted in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, but these are from the scriptures. Directly he's quoting that verse. But
Mm-hmm.
there are verses composed by Rup Goswami explaining the verses which are quoted. Like I'll give you an example, like from the Padma Puran. What is this? Nama Chintamani Chaitanya Rasavigra Nitya Mukta Purna Shuddho Abhinnatvam Nama Nami. So this is a Padma Puran verse. Rupa
Mm-hmm.
Goswami directly quotes this. And then Ata Shri Krishna Madi Na Bhavet Garayam Indriya Sevan Mukhehi Jivado Swayam Eva Spuritada. So this verse is not a Padma Puran verse. This is a verse of Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, uh, composed by Rupa Goswami, explaining the Padma Puran verse. So that is what we
Mm.
call the Karika verse. So in one sense, this is like a explanatory verse for Mriti, and you can say that this is like a Karika verse. Okay.
Yes, Prabhu.
Okay. Anything else? Anyone else has any questions? Any other clarifications about this Anubhava? 15th one we have finished. Okay, let's go now to the 16th one. At alasyam. सामर्थस्यापि सद्भावे क्रिया अनुमुखता हि वा तृप्ति शमादि संभूता तद आलस्यम उदीरते. Lack of enthusiasm to do activities. Kriya anumukyata hi ya, because of satiation or fatigue. Tripti Shamadhi Sambhuta, even though one has the ability to do them. Samarthasyapi Sadbhave is called alas. Tad alasyam udirate. So this alas is nothing to do with the three modes, where in the mode of tamoguna there is alas. So that has nothing to do with that. You have to remember. This is in Krishna Lila, and all the devotees and the Lord are situated in pure goodness. Vishuddha Sattvatma, but there is alas still manifesting there. So let's see this, and then you'll become, the examples will make it clear. Okay, Jiva Goswami in his commentary. Sadbhave here means having the ability to do even if one had the enthusiasm. That's it. Atranga bhango jimba cha kriyadveshokshi mardanam shayanaseke priyata Tandra, Nidra, Dayopicha. Now, what are the symptoms which manifest because of alas? Usually, we saw up till now, Rup Goswami, he used to give the definition and what are the symptoms. In the verse itself, he used to mention, but he has composed another verse to explain the symptoms here. In this state, atra, stretching of limbs, anga bhango. Oh, you stretch your limbs, you feel lazy, right? Yawning, Jimba, when you yawn, oh, I'm tired, you yawn. Disgust with work, cha kriya dvesho. This we can have experience like disgust of work. Rubbing of the eyes, akshi mardanam, lying down, shaya, when you're alas, you lie down, na? Fondness on sitting down, asanaika priyata, exhaustion, tandra, and sleep occur, nidra adayo picha. Okay, so these are the things which happen. Let's see the examples. Tatra tripteryata, alas arising from satiation. O king of cowherds, Gopindra, at the festival of Govardhan, Govardhana Utsave, we have become so satisfied. Vipranam nas tata triptir asid that yatasyat we cannot give even blessings. Na ashirvad api prabha vishnuta. So they are so satisfied, the Brahmanas, in the Govardhan festival that, to give blessings also they are feeling alas. So again, I mentioned that this alas is not because of the influence of the Tamagun alas, because this is related to Krishna Lila. I mentioned that, right? Okay, Prabhupada. When one is, when because of self-satisfaction or dislike for excessive labor, a person does not perform his duty in spite of having the energy, he is called lazy. This laziness is also manifested in ecstatic love of Krishna. For example, when some Brahmanas were requested Nanaraj to Sangam land Govardhan, they told him that they are most interested in offering Badikrishan than Sangam land in Govardhan Hill. This is an instance of laziness caused by self-satisfaction. Shamad from fatigue. When arm wrestling with me, after arm wrestling with me to please me, Priyataya Mama Vidhaya Niyuddham, he cannot do any activity now. Shushtu Nisah Tanu Subalo Abut, and he is stretching his limbs. Motayantum Abito Nijam Angam. You should not call him to fight immediately. Na abaha sahasya vayatam amum. So he has done wrestling and now he's tired. He cannot stretch his limbs. He's stretching his limbs. So now you should not call him. That's what, again, this reference is also not known where it is. Nisaha tanu means his body cannot at all tolerate. Sahasahu yatam is an alternative to sahasayatam. Sahasa yu is there, sahasa va yutam. So again, this is all to do with Sanskrit. Niyodam means arm wrestling. Okay, once when Krishna, along with his cowherd friends, was having a mock battle, Subala showed the symptoms of fatigue. Now, this is actually this wrestling is not in Kamsa's arena. It is in Krishna Lila with his Sakya friends, Kamsa. Krishna immediately told his other friends, Subala is feeling so fatigued from mock fighting with me, so please do not disturb him anymore by inviting him to fight. So Subala was fatigued, Shama, because of Shama. And, so don't call him, don't disturb him by inviting him again to fight. This is an instance of laziness caused by dislike of excessive labor. Okay, Alice is over. Now, 17th one is Jadyam. Ata Jadyam. Any questions you have about this? Any clarifications? No. Okay, so we'll go to the 17th one now. Jadyam apratipataya syat ishtanishta suti kshane virha virahadescha tanmohat purva avastapyarapi cha atra nimishata tushnim bhava vismaranadaya. Absence of the ability to decide anything. Apratipatti. Apratipatti means, absence of the ability to decide anything, which arises from hearing or seeing desirable or undesirable things. Ishta, anishta, shruti, ikshane. Seeing, shruti means to hear, iksha means to say, or which arises from separation. Viraha adescha is called jadyam. Jadyam. So jad means, lazy. Sometimes you might say jad also means, you're just can't do anything, So this is a gross understanding, like the gross manifestation. But the emotion of jade here is not able to decide. Why? Because of seeing or hearing something desirable or undesirable, or because of separation. This occurs previous to and following moha in operative mind. Tan mohat purvasyaat avastaparapi cha. In this state, blinking of the eyes, attar nimishata, silence, tushnim bhava, and forgetfulness, akor vismaranadaya. So all these three things happening: blinking of eyes, silence, forgetfulness. And this occurs previous to and following moha, which we have already discussed. Apratipatti means not having the ability to decide. It is said to be similar to moha since it is a state preceding and following moha, but it is separate from moha. So it is said to be similar to moha since it is a state preceding and following moha, but it is separate from moha also. So you can understand how Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu is able to analyze each of these emotions and not only analyze these emotions, give an exact definition how they occur, when they occur, what are the symptoms. So one needs to, actually this part of, the components of rasa and especially Vyabhicari Bhav, one has to study it very carefully. And one has to introspect, when one is going through a particular emotion, actually, you need to reflect, you need to journal and write down what exactly, I'm going through. I went through one small video clip, and a person is just sitting on the stairs, with his head down. He's going through certain emotion, and a kind of a doll, speaking doll comes and says hi. He also says hi. When he speaks also that emotion is conveyed. uh, how are you feeling? When he says, i'm you know I'm not feeling good. But what is the feeling? I'm not able to express my feeling, what I'm feeling. Okay, then maybe you express your feeling by singing. No, you express it by playing music. So, one of the ways, what I'm trying to explain here is when you're going through these states of emotions, these states of emotions are the perverted emotions which we call in material conditioning. We are not able to identify the emotions. We are not able to express those emotions because what is the state of emotion going on in the heart? It's a very fine science, and one has to have fine intelligence to understand and analyze these emotions. But one is not able to express, one is not able to, feel what is feeling, then the best way to do is to, sing, to sing kirtans, to sing songs, to do bhajans, or to play music. Because those emotions are let loose and they are allowed to flow out. And then, just like the fog is cleared, then things are seen clearly. You can see clearly what is, so similarly, the intelligence which is clogged is suddenly, released, and now the intelligence is clear and it can now understand. So this is very, very important. That's what I would like to mention here. Okay. Now scriptural references for Tatra Ishta Shrutya, hearing what is desirable from the 10th canto. Using his upraised ears as vessels. Uttabhita Karna Pute, the cows, Gavascha, are drinking Pibantah, the nectar of flute song, Venu Gita Piyusham, flowing out from Krishna's mouth. Krishna Mukha Nirgata, the calves, Shavaha, their mouths full of milk from their mother's moist nipples. The, you know, the calves are drinking the milks and the milk is still in their mouth and it is moist. Snuta Stanapaya Kavala Sma, stand still, Tasnor, as they take Govinda within themselves. Govindam Amnat Atmani, though their tear-filled eyes, Drishashru Kula, Kula means filled, and embrace him within their hearts. Parshantaya. So this is the effect of Krishna's flute on the cows and the uh, calves. And this is hearing what is desirable. This is the kind of emotions they are experiencing, which is called as Jadium. I hope you are able to understand this. Okay, inertness, Prabhupada says this. In the 10th canto, 21st chapter, verse 13 of Srimad Bhagavatam, there is appreciation by the gopis of the inertia of the cows in Vrindavan. The gopis saw that the cows were hearing the sweet songs vibrated by Krishna's flute and were appearing to be drinking the nectar of these transcendental sounds. The calves were stunned and they forgot to drink the milk from the milk bags. So they became jade. They could not decide what to do. Their eyes seemed to be embracing Krishna and there were tears in their eyes. This is an instance of inertia resulting from hearing the transcendental vibration of Krishna's flute. Anishtita Shrutya Yata, from hearing what is undesirable. Anishta Shrutya Yata. Hearing Keshava, Keshavsya Giram, call out someone else's name. Akalyava Parivartita Gotram, the heart of Lakshmana. Lakshana. The heart of Lakshmana. Now, who is Lakshmana? I don't know. One of the leaders of the gopis. So she's one of the leaders of the gopis. Adhika Nir Ni Mi Shakshi was pained. Arpita Shalyam Vidda Dheer. Her eyes stopped blinking. Akshanam Avartata. And she did not utter a word. Tushnim. She did not utter a word. So that is the effect you saw in Jadyam. Because Keshav called out somebody else's name. And not her. Gotram means name. That's it. When Lakshmana became disturbed upon hearing words against Krishna, okay, that's what hearing Krishna call out someone else's name, the heart of Lakshmana, one of the leaders of the gopis, was pained. Her eyes stopped blinking and she did not utter a word. Now, here the verse is mentioning Krishna called somebody else's name, but here it is mentioned that when Lakshmana became disturbed upon hearing words against Krishna, she remained inert and did not move her eyelids. So this is what is being described. So I don't know in which context this verse come. Only if we know from where this verse is and the context, if we read, then only we can elaborate on it. Ishta ikshanena yatha shidashame. From seeing objects of desire. Govindam graham aniya devadevesh adrita पूजायां नैविदत् कृत्यं प्रमोदा प्रमोदोपहतो नृप. King Yudhishthira Nripa respectfully brought Adrita Adritah Aniya, Lord Govindam, the supreme god of gods, Deva Devesham, to his personal quarters, Graham. The king was so overcome with joy, Pramoda, Upahato, that he could not remember. Na Vidat, all the rituals of worship. Pujayam Krityam. So that was his ecstasy and joy. Prabhupada mentions about the bewilderment after bringing Krishna into his home with great respect. King Yudhishthira was very much bewildered because of his transcendental pleasure at having Krishna present in his home. In fact, while receiving Krishna, King Yudhishthira forgot himself. This is an instance of inertia resulting in ecstasy in seeing Krishna. Forgot himself also and forgot the rules of worships to be done. And this, do devotees have experience about this kind of, emotion, what King Yudhishthira is experiencing? Do devotees have this kind of experience? Let us hear. Yes, Subha Ikshana Krishna Prabhuji.
Prabhu, when senior devotees come, we feel very joyful inside, and we plan, okay, when they come, then we will put garland and we will do all the seva. We will ask him this. We are so excited. But actually, when they
Yes,
come, then we see them, we just
forget
literally
the things.
forget everything.
That is especially in the case of sannyasis and spiritual masters.
Yes,
Because
Prabhu.
of prema, it can happen. And these things we forget, which is, part of the Vidhi rules. Even if we, forget, there is no flaw in it. There is no flaw because rag is operating. So when rag is operating, Vidhi can take a back step. So yes, this is the classic example. Even I was thinking about it. Excellent, very good. Okay, now let's go to the next one. From seeing the undesirable, anishtatikshanena, 10th canto, sending their minds after Krishna. Anu prashtanapitatmano, the gopis stood as motionless as figures in a painting. Lekyanivo palakshitaha. They remained there as long as the flat top on the chariot was visible. Yavat alakshite ketur, and even until they could no longer see the dust rays from the chariot wheels. Yavad renu ratasya cha. So this is when Krishna is taking, when Arjuna is taking, when Akrura is taking Krishna and Balram to Mathura. I think 10th canto, chapter 39. Yes, yes. Akrura's vision is there. So definitely it is in that chapter only then. Yes. So this is seeing undesirable. Jad. They became completely jad. Okay, Prabhupada is when Krishna was going to Mathura, all the gopis were standing behind Krishna, and upon seeing the chariot leaving, were stunned and did not move. They remained like that until the flag of the chariot and the dust thrown upon by its wheels became invisible. Virahena yata, from separation. Your friends, te Sakayas, pained by long separation from you, Mukunda Virahena Vidurita Chirat, remain on this earth, Bhuvi Nivishya Tatra Sita, like the deities, Puranti Suchacha Iva of neglectful Brahmanas. Khala Davala Dvija Grihe, who are without ornaments, Alankritibhir Ujjita, wearing soiled clothes which are falling off, Skalanan Malina Vasasa, with limbs dirty and thin, Shavala Ruksha Gatra Shriya. So this is the condition of the friends in separation from Krishna, just like the Brahmanas, the neglectful Brahmanas have deities without ornaments, soiled clothes which are falling off, and the limbs are dirty and thin. For your kind information, Radha Londoneshwari, not Radha Londoneshwari, Radha Gokulanand in London, Bhaktivedanta Manor, has gained 10 kgs of weight. For your kind information. Because the devotees have been feeding, his weight has changed. Burijan Prabhu in one of his lectures was telling us, the limbs thin, it is mentioned, na? The deity has become thin because the devotee is not feeding them. And we see in, and Puchrika Lota, his friend Lota Baba, he's just waiting there for Krishna. And Krishna told he'll come and he's waiting, but he's growing fat. He's not having anything. So this is what Shavala means, soiled with dirt. Devala is a Brahmana who makes a profession from doing deity worship. Krishna was once addressed by his friends thus, My dear Mukunda, Krishna, due to their being separated from you, the cowherd boys are standing just like neglected deities in the house of a professional Brahmana. There is a class of professional Brahmanas who take to deity worship as a means of earning their livelihood. So we all have this, we know that. We have seen this and when we especially visit holy places or other places also where uh, Brahmana in this class are not very interested in deity. They are interested mainly in the money they can earn as holy men. So the deities worshipped by such professional brahmanas are not properly decorated, their dress is not changed, their bodies are not cleaned. So this is how we can understand the standard. And you can see compared to the ISKCON standards in deity worship, how nicely they're decorated, how every day the dresses are changed, every day there is abhishek done. So that shows a difference. They look dirty and are not very attractive. Actually, deity worship should be done very carefully. The dress should be changed daily, and as far as possible, there should be ornaments. Everything should be so clean that the deity is attracted to all visitors. So this is Prabhupada's establishing. Here is an example given to the deities in the house of a professional Brahmana because such deities are not at all attractive. The friends of Krishna in the absence of Krishna were appearing like such neglected deities. So that is the comparison being done. That's the comparison being done. Okay. Now next is Vrida. This is the 18th Vyabhicari Bhav. This is a very interesting one. But before we begin this, any questions, any clarifications anyone has? Anyone has any questions about the 17th one? Jadyam? No questions? Okay. So we'll go now to the 18th one, which is a very interesting one, bashfulness. Naveen sangama तव अज्ञादिना कृता अदृष्टता भवेत् व्रीडा तत्र मौनं विचिन्तनम् अवगुन्तनं भूलेखो तदाद्योन्मुखनादय. The state of bashfulness, the opposite of audacity, adrishyata, arising from just meeting one's lover. Naveen Sangama Karyas. From performing forbidden actions. Tava Tava Gayadina Krita. From praise or neglect is called Vrida, shyness. Bhavet Vrida. So somebody praises, you put your head down out of shame, you don't like that, glorification. That is, and somebody neglects you also, it can happen. In this state, there is silence, tatra maunam, anxiety, vichintanam, covering of the head, avaguntana, writing on the ground, boleko, and hanging the head. So all these are the. So by these anubhavas, we can understand the exact emotion. See, just imagine if you could. I feel now this has to be taken as a separate topic where each of these state of emotions has to be indicated through some diagrams, and there have to be pictures shown to state these emotions. Then then a better understanding of the science, because visually explaining makes it more clear than the philosophical understanding. Okay, now tatra navina sangamena yata padyavalim. O lotus-eyed friend, Saroj Netre, blinded with joy, Premanda, you have offered Swayam Akarod Arpanam, your beautiful body, Varavapur, to Govinda, Govinde. O friend Saki, do not be miserly, Karpanyam na kuru, by showing yourself to him only a little. Dharavalokadane. The purchased elephant, Vikrite Karni, does not quarrel with the goad. Kim Ankushe Vivadaha. Once the elephant is purchased, then it knows that now it's completely given to his goad, so it doesn't quarrel. So this gopi has given herself to Krishna, and she's showing herself very little. So uh, don't be miserly, completely show to Krishna, something like that it is. Now the explanation by Jiva Goswami. Just as a purchased elephant does not object to the goad and cooperates with a new owner, you should also cooperate with Govinda. Prabhupada, bashfulness. When Radharani was first introduced to Krishna, she felt very bashful. One of her friends addressed her in this way: My dear friend, you have already sold yourself and all your beauty to Govinda. Now you should not be bashful. Please look upon him cheerfully. One who has sold an elephant to another person should not make a miserly quarrel about selling the trident which controls the elephant. So the this kind of bashfulness is due to the new introduction in ecstatic love with Krishna. Now, I want to know from the devotees here, uh, what is this trident indicating in this example? There is a comparison done in this analogy. There is an elephant sold to a person, and there is a trident. So what is that trident signifying? Yes, Subha Ikshana Krishna Prabhuji. Yes.
Prabhu, is it mind, body, and words?
Uh, any other thoughts? Okay. It is the bashfulness which is being exhibited by Srimati Radharan. Don't be bashful. So please look cheerful upon him. So the elephant is Srimati Radharani, which is sold, and the owner is Krishna, who controls the elephant. It is Krishna, like that. Akarena yata. Shame arising from forbidden actions. O Indra Sachipate, you should not hang down your head. Tvam avag ihama shirakrita. In shame, trapaya, and remain silent. Vadanam cha. Take the parija tree and go. Naya kalpatarum na che chaichim. Otherwise, how can you show your face to your wife? Katam agre mukam ikshashasi. So Indra is feeling shame, and this is, I think, from the Krishna Leela, where Krishna is speaking to Indra. These are the words of Krishna. Shira avak means hanging the head. Vadanam avak means being silent. The heavenly king Indra, upon being defeated in his fight with Krishna for possessing the Parijat flower, became very bashful because of his defeat. He was standing before Krishna, bowing his head, when Krishna said, All right, Indra, you can take this Parijat flower, otherwise, you will not be able to show your face before your wife Sachi Devi. Indra's bashfulness was due to defeat. It was due to defeat. Stavena, shame from being praised. When Krishna, Shaurina praised Uddhava, Stuyamanasya Uddhavasya, listing all his good qualities, Bhuri Sadgunya Bharena, Uddhava lowered his head. Namri Bhutam Tada Shira, and took on a unique attractiveness, Verochishta. So this is the quality of a pure devotee. A pure devotee is humble, and just like the tree, which has all the good qualities, the fruits, when it is filled with all fruits, it is hanging down. So similarly, the devotee has all the good qualities, but he is always humble. So here Krishna is praising Uddhava for all his qualities and is listing all the good qualities, but Uddhava has lowered his head. In another instance, Krishna began to praise Uddhava for his various high qualifications. Upon being praised by Krishna, Uddhava also bowed his head bashfully. Shame arising from neglect, avagyaya, from Harivamsha in the statement by Satya. Satya Devi Vakyam. Raivataka mountain is always glorious. Chitram Sada, with spring flowers, Vasanta Kusumes. How can I look upon that mountain? Katam Drakshyami Tampuna, when I've lost the affection for Krishna. Priya Bhuta, though once I most dear to him. Priya Bhutya. In what context this is spoken? Let us see. In Harivamsha, Satyabhama, feeling slighted by Rukmini's high position, said, "My dear Krishna, the Raivatak mountain is always full of spring flowers, but when I have become persona non grata to you, what is the use of my observing them?" This instance of bashfulness result on being defeated. Okay, so that ends bashfulness. Now the 19th one is avahitya. This is also very interesting, and let us see whether we have time to finish this. Yes, we have this time. So we'll finish this discussion, and there is further clarification which will come up ahead that we will take in the next class. Ata avahitya. Avahityakara gupter bhavat bhavana kenachit. The external action of wanting to hide one's external symptoms. Akara gupter. You are hiding your external symptoms because of thinking oneself low. Bhavet bhavana kenachit is called avahitya. Avahitya. Now this has to be understood, and let's go to the examples and then understand. No, but before, let us see what Jiva Goswami has to say on this commentary. Kenachit bhavanayana means under the control of that bhav. Under the control of this bhava, you hide the external symptoms. Like you're angry, but you hide that anger. Because of jealousy, you're angry and you hide that anger emotion and you don't exhibit it. So that is avahitya. Akar gupti means concealing one anubhavas, external symptoms. The external symptoms are, concealed. Thus, desiring to conceal one anubhavas because of internal feelings of lowness is called avahitya. Now, again, I would like to make this point very clear that please remember these anubhavas are experienced in rasa, in relationship to Krishna, and these are spiritual emotions. But their low doesn't mean the low what we experience in our material conditioned life, where we go through low and we go through depression, you know, all suicidal tendencies, all that, So these are the negative feelings. So that low here doesn't mean that, you know. But again, that's an anubhava here. Okay. Now the symptoms, what manifest because of this particular Vyabhicari bhav is mentioned in the next verse, that is this verse. Let us take that. Atra angade parabhyayuh sthanasya pariguhanam anyatreksha vritha cheshta bhagabhangitya adaya kriya. In this state, atra, hiding one's limbs, angade pariguhanam. So others will think one is something else. Para bhuyo stanasya. Glancing elsewhere. Anyatriksha. You glance somewhere else. Useless actions. Vrita cheshta. And clever use of words occurs. Vaga bhangita adaya kriya. So clever use of words are used. So these are, the symptoms of Vyabhichari bhav because of avahitya. In this state, these are the anubhavas. Okay, now first example. Tata choktam. Anubhava pidanartho avahityam bhava uchyate. The ancient authorities say that tata cha uktam, the bhava which conceals one's anubhavas, external symptoms, anubhava pidanartho is called avahitya. Avahitya Vyabhichari bhav. So the ancient authorities also say that the bhav which conceals one anubhavas is avahitya. I hope it is very clear to you all. The bhava which conceals the anubhavas is avahitya. The order of the words anubhava pidanartho bhava avahityam uchyate. Now Prabhupada, let us see what Prabhupada has to speak about this. Concealment. There is a symptom of ecstatic love known as concealment, or trying to hide one's real mental condition by externally showing another attitude. In this state of mind, one tries to hide his mind by looking away in different directions, by unnecessarily trying for something which is impossible, or by using words which cover one's real heart. So all this in the material world uh, is all duplicitous activities. But in Krishna Lila, it enhances the rasa. So it is not any duplicity, in the Krishna Lila, in rasa. But in the material world, when we externally, internally we have certain emotion and externally we manifest something else, that is duplicity. According to Acharya's expert in study of psychological activities, these attempts at hiding one's real affections are another part of ecstatic feeling for Krishna. That's what I mentioned, hiding those real affections, So these are actually part of the ecstatic feelings for Krishna. Tatra jaimena jaimena yata Shri Dashami from the 10th out of deceit. Shri Krishna had awakened romantic desires within the gopis, Ananga Deepanam, and they honored him by glancing at him with playful smiles. Sahasa Leela Ikshana, gesturing amorously with their eyebrows, Vibhrama Bruva, and massaging his hands and feet as they held them in their laps. Some sparshanenanga anka kritangri hastayo. Even by worshipping him, Sabhajaya Hitva Tam, however they felt somewhat angry. Kupita Baba Shir, which they concealed, and thus they spoke to him. Samstuya Isha. So this is an instance where the gopis, Krishna left the Rasastali, and the gopis were searching, and then ultimately Krishna came back, and then suddenly Krishna had awakened the romantic desires within the gopi, and now the gopis are honoring, glancing at him with playful smiles. They are gesturing amorously with their eyebrows. They are massaging his feet, hands and feet. They're catching hold of him and in their laps, They are worshipping like them, but they were somewhat internally angry. Why did Krishna leave and go? And they ask these questions, And that is a very beautiful discussion of the Krishna's answers, which will come in the Krishna Lila, in the 10th canto. They ask, when we love someone, some questions they ask, which I had read many years back. Krishna gives 3 reasons or 4 reasons why, So then they understand. But somehow they were angry and they were concealing these emotions, So they conceal that anubhavas of anger. And then they start speaking, and they ask these questions to Krishna. So this is a classic example. Jaimya means deceit. In the 10th canto, 32nd chapter, verse 15 of Srimad Bhagavad Goswami states, My dear king, the gopis were always beautiful and decorated with confidential smiles and alluring garments. In their movements, intended to give impetus to lusty feelings, they would sometimes press Krishna's hand on their laps, and sometimes they would keep his lotus feet on their breast. After doing this, they would talk with Krishna as if they were very angry with him. They were angry, still they did not. They concealed that emotion. Dakshinyena yatha, out of mild nature. When Madhusudan brought Nite Pranita Mahasa Madhusudanena, the Parijata tree, Parijata, to the house of Satyabhama, Satrajite Sadane Simani, though Rukmini was filled with anger, Draghiya Simani Vidarbha Bhuvas, no one could detect, Na Kopi Vidam Babua, that deception, the Darshayam, because of her mildness, Saushilyata Kila. Rukmini is said to be of mild nature, whereas Satyabhama is, she's demanding nature. So because of her mild nature, she was filled with anger, but nobody could detect it. So this is again an example, classic example of that. Okay, now there are few more examples on this. There are, each of the examples are there. There is another example of this concealment in ecstatic love. When Krishna, the supreme joker, planted the Parijata tree in the courtyard of Satyabhama, Rukmini, the daughter of King Vidarbha, became very angry. But due to her natural gentle behavior, she did not express anything. No one could understand Rukmini's real mental condition. This is an instance of competitive concealment. Competitive concealment. Riya, concealment out of bashfulness. The insuperable ecstasy was so strong, Duranta Bhava, that the queens, who were shy, Vilajjinitam, first embraced the Lord, Parire Bire Patim, in their innermost recesses in their hearts, Antaratmana. Then they embraced him visually, Drishtibir. So Krishna is from Hastinapur after many months back, after the war of Kurukshetra, Kunti Marani's prayers, Bhishma's prayers, and then enthroning Yudhishthira, he comes back after many months. And the Dwarka Vasis are in separation from Krishna. And Krishna enters Dwarka. The Dwarka Vasis invite. And then he meets everyone. And then he's now entering the palace and the inner chambers of the palace. And the queens have been feeling separation. And you know, they immediately get up hearing that Krishna has come. And the ecstasy was so strong that, when they saw Krishna, they first embraced him in their eyes and the innermost recesses of their hearts. And then they embraced him through visually. And then they want to physically embrace them, but the culture doesn't allow, the Vedic culture, in the open, palace. So they sent their sons to embrace him, Tam Atmajair, which is equal to personal embracing, because sons are again the expansion of the body of the mother. But O chief amongst the Bhrugus, Bhruguvarya, though they try to restrain their feelings, Niruddhamapya, they inadvertently Vaikalatvad shed tears, Ashravad Ambu Netra. So they try to hide their feelings. So this is also another example of this Anubhava, the Avahitya. Prabhupada explains the same thing. Others were trying out of shyness not to shed tears, but they still could not keep the tears from gliding down. This is an instance of concealment caused by shyness. From deceit and bashfulness. So both deceit and bashfulness, both these emotions are. O messenger, will ka, a respectable one, Kulapalika, desire such a snake among cowherds. Vrishanasti tam goshta bhujangam. Remembering him, duti yatra smrite mrutyur, the hairs of my body are standing on end out of fear. Bhitya romanchita mama. So the respectable women are calling, snake among cowards, Krishna, you know, and just out of fear, seeing a snake hair stand on an end. So remembering Krishna, their hairs are standing on end. On another occasion, when Srimati Radharani thought that Krishna was involved with another woman, she addressed her friend in this manner. My dear friend, as soon as I think of Krishna, the coward boy attached to some other woman, I become stricken with fear and my hairs on my body stand up. I must be very careful that Krishna not see me at such times. This is an instance of concealment caused by shyness and diplomatic behavior. Vrishayasati means desire a male companion. An example of Lakshmanam sa vrishayati. She desires Lakshmana. Kulapalika means a respectable woman. Saujanena yata. Concealment by good qualities. Though Radha's attachment to Krishna increased to the extreme, Praudapya asya rati Krishne, by the wealth of her self-control, Guda Gambhirya Sampadibir, she concealed it. Mano Ghavar Garbhaga Garbhaga. so that no one could doubt her. Du vitarka parer abhut. Dakshinam means softness in the mind. This causes the concealment of anger. So Janya means here that there is bashfulness and self-control which cause concealment. There is self-controlment, and that self-control causes the concealment of the specifically external sentiment. That is the difference. Her attraction was hidden. Mano Gahvar Garbaga. Gahvar one is there, you know. It's a hidden forest. Though it increased, Praudapi, it remained hidden. To Vitarka because of her strong self control. She hid her attitude in the core of her heart so that others could not detect her actual condition. Proper. Gauravena, last, concealment out of respect. When Krishna Govinda began to joke among his laughing cowherd friends, his servant Patri, some were Vara Patri, became jubilant. Pramod Mugdo, out of respect, he hung his head with great difficulty, covered his laughter. Yatnena Smitham Ah. Because the rasa is, with Patri is more of Dasiras, and laughing and all we do with the Sakas and Sakyaras. But when he joked, he could not control his laughter. He became jubilant. But out of respect, he hung his head. Okay. Once when Krishna with his cowherd friends was enjoying friendly conversation, Krishna began to address his associates in casual way. At that time, Krishna's servant Patri was also enjoying the conversation. This is Dasyaras. But then, remembering his position of servitude, Patri bowed down before his master, and with great respect and control, he stifled his smiling. This subdued smiling is an instance of concealment caused by a respectful attitude. So you can imagine all these, emotions, how they, manifest the anubhavas, and based on the anubhavas, one can understand the emotions what are going on internally in the heart. So one should dive in these emotions of the Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu. Okay, so this verse requires a lot of explanation, and this we will take up in the next class. And time is also up. Sorry for little extending because I just wanted to finish till here. Yes, Shubha Ikshana Krishna Prabhuji. Oh, I've
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
yes.
In verse 123 in Bhakti Rasamrita Sundar, it says, concealment out of bashfulness. And the
Yes.
last sattvika, or this bhav that we discussed itself was bashfulness.
Yeah, see, that's
Yeah.
what many of the, you can see, we discussed Vishad, you know. Vishad was one of the Vyabhicari Bhav, but
Mhm.
later on we read one of the Vyabhicari Bhavs by which there are symptoms of Vishada manifesting out of separation. So
Mhm.
please don't get confused between the two. There are these Vyabhichari Bhavs, and these produce these symptoms, external symptoms or anubhavas sometimes. So, and Vishad because of separation, all that, Unmad because of separation, Unnad because of Harsha, disgust. And disgust is separately discussed. So, like that, these two things are different. You have to understand that. Okay.
Yes, Prabhu. Already, Vyabhichari bhav itself is an opposite to the sthai bhav. Like when Krishna is in the coils of uh, Kalia, Mother Yashoda is already feeling separation. And in that itself, when we are discussing Vyabhichari bhav, is the opposite, or it spikes up in an
It
opposite.
spikes up. It spikes up the Sahibhav. It
Mhm.
takes the Sahibhav to a height.
Mhm.
And as I mentioned, it causes a kind of a sanchar in the body, mind, and
Mhm.
the words. Oh, Krishna, she might call out. And this
Mhm.
calling out of Krishna is again the Vatsalya Prem which is there, the Sahibhav. and she might raise her hands up, she might collapse, all these are manifestations of Sahiba, but because of the Vyabhicari Bhav. And these Vyabhicari Bhav is causing, you know, symptoms in words, in actions, in body, like that. So, like that, that's what I felt today only. That if an entire table is done and then each of the shades of emotions are explained, that requires a lot of research, then you will get a finer understanding of how these emotions are playing a role. That's what I felt. Let us see, let's slowly work. It requires very expert understanding of this whole subject. I'm just beginning to study this now with you all. So let us see if Krishna blesses sometime once we study it under a very expert teacher, then maybe it requires expertise in this subject. That's what I feel. Okay.
Yes, Prabhu.
Yes, Chakrarama Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, everybody.
Right.
Just can you repeat how to understand alasyam? That is the 16th.
Yeah, I mentioned that alasya is nothing to do with the mode of ignorance, alasya, which is the effect of the modes. There is in Krishna Lila, fighting, you feel tired and you don't want to fight anymore. So you are just resting. So limbs are taking rest. That's why Krishna is telling, don't disturb double. He's tired. Don't again call him for the mock fight. So that is a particular type of bhava, in Krishna Lila. But there is no activity because of that. But you are experiencing a kind of emotion because that alasya again is not something which is material. It is a spiritual emotion. It is in Krishna Leela. So it's beyond the modes. First of all, you have to understand that. So that's the difference between the two. That's what I mentioned. Okay.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yeah. Okay. So thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Srila Rupa Goswami Pad ki jai. Shri Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu ki jai. Hare Krishna.